Welcome to the Leadership Labs with DeepRec.ai, a podcast where we delve into the fascinating world of deep tech entrepreneurship, company founders and venture capitalists. I'm your host, Anthony Kelly, and I'm thrilled to have you join us in this exciting journey. In each episode, we explore the minds behind groundbreaking technologies, the visionaries who dare to push the boundaries of innovation, and the investors who fuel the growth of tomorrow's game changers. Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Leadership Labs. I'm your host, Anthony Kelly, and today's guest, we have Massimo, who is a Principal Director for AI and Software with EPAM. He's got a fabulous career around providing AI solutions into some very difficult, tough, compliant businesses. As well as that, he's also a renowned author and speaker for AI. So really, really happy to have Massimo on the episode. Hear all about, how he's been bringing AI transformation to a lot of businesses and uncover hopefully some nuggets that can help people when it comes into or moving towards the AI revolution. Welcome to the show, Massimo.
Thank you, Anthony, and thank you, everyone. It's a real pleasure for me to be in this podcast. Indeed. So I'm principal at the Data Analytics Consulting Department of EPAM Systems. Yeah, so I think AI is providing us a lot of challenges and opportunities for all of us, Anthony.
Yeah, difficult time when it's the answer to our problems, but it's also the problem.
Yeah, indeed.
Look, let's take it back, Massimo. Right, so you've had a long career. You've done computer science, studied computer science before computer science was cool. Talk to us. Tell us what decided your career path. Before it was cool, before it was hype.
Yeah, so I think I navigated all the main digital transformation around data since 20 years ago. I started as a multimedia web specialist at CJR, that was one of the agencies of United Nations, and then I finished to lead the team as a head of a digital unit for 10 years, and then I moved in Bonn, where I worked for United Nations in big data projects. So at the time, big data didn't exist at all. It was just a name to aggregate all the efforts in analyzing data. And on that side, I worked for several research projects in supporting climate change. With machine learning and analysis of data through statistics. After that experience, I went to Nespresso, and I worked as a consultant, managing consultant, supporting a big change in the company, and auditing also the e-commerce analytics function in Nespresso. And I had a chance to go in depth on machine learning, artificial intelligence, and use it properly to generate value. After that experience, I made another big step with Fair Trade Handles. That is a company active in the production of a lot of products that use sustainable product and a sustainable approach. And on that side, I would say I founded the data analytics department before moving to DSM, where I was a principal scientist in the innovation lab, and supported my colleagues that were working in nutrition and health in the context of applying artificial intelligence to the research efforts of the company. And so today I joined EPAM Systems as a principal, and my role indeed is to improve, steer, and make sure that we select always the best architecture, the best framework for the clients of EPAMs in the context of artificial intelligence.
Nice, nice, great, great overview, Massimo. I really appreciate it. Cool story as well from United Nations, right? Because they also, you said working on big data when big data didn't exist, but then in like 2016, 2018, and around that time, they recreated big data by rebranding Hadoop as big data, right? You weren't doing big data, now you're doing Hadoop. Hadoop is big data. Big data is not big data. And I guess we probably see that in many forms of AI today, but I'm stealing your words here, and it's the revolution of AI is now because it's more commercialized. It's available to the people
Yeah,
that are at home, and I think that's the biggest
yeah,
point of AI now is it's not your computer scientists working on it in a lab, maybe using it for document extraction. It's people at home and now creating digital avatars. They're now just like automatically detecting, sending invoices. There's a whole bunch of different use cases where the average person is using it, right? I go to so many events now and they often say, put up your hand who's used ChatGPT, and it's mostly 100% of the room put their hands up.
yeah,
So
yeah, indeed.
that's where we are. Look, the revolution of AI,
Yeah,
what does it mean?
yeah. I mean, so it means a lot. So I think we are facing one of the biggest revolution in digital, and it promised to be a really big change. So you were mentioning before, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, artificial intelligence was a branch, I would say, an advanced implementation of statistics. And through machine learning algorithm, it was possible actually to make prediction, identify patterns. But if we analyze the success rate of AI, we were quite low. So it was about 60%, 70% of AI projects were going to fail. And that is because AI is a different topic. So it's not easy to always find the best algorithm, but also to extract the right information to make a decision. And that was AI before ChatGPT. So with large language models, we reached a breakthrough in 2017 when we had the transformer document coming from Google that changed how we manage information and we extract knowledge. And this revolution, experts says that it will be even more impactful of internet and the advent of telephone in our life. So I think we are lucky on one sense because we can live this big change. We are really at the beginning. And on the other side, so we need to understand what is going to happen to us and also what is going to happen to our jobs, how we will change and how we can take the best from this revolution.
Yeah, and I suppose it's where it sort of comes through to that's quite similar to the past is right 3, 4 years ago, people were saying, oh, we can't have self-driving cars. It's gonna take people's jobs, it's gonna take taxi drivers, bus drivers off out of work, essentially, right? But I believe when the calculator first came out, people thought that the calculator is going to take the jobs of your mathematicians, your
Yeah,
statisticians, and I mean it never did, right? It's just not what it was created for, and I think it came into the humans plus the calculator, which takes us into today. It's the humans plus AI. So it's very different, but I guess it's still the early market, and we don't know who's winning or losing beyond maybe Nvidia, Gemini, ChatGPT, right? There's a couple of early winners that are disruptors. There's also a couple of early losers who are trying to be disruptors. Where do you see companies having value in your experience of transformation? Is it in waiting? Is it in trying to be an early mover, an early adopter?
Yeah, I mean, good question. So I remember about 20 years ago, I experienced the first activities of digital marketing, and Google didn't exist at all. And I did it because I needed my area of in my work. And so I was in an e-commerce activity, and I wanted to sell more digital products, but there was no best practice. There was no science. And today, instead, we have digital marketing that is a poor science of e-commerce, and it is fully developed. So I think that the big impacts can come for sure from big companies that have the capacity, the budget, and the people to make these big changes. But I count a lot on startups and universities, because most of in my experience, most of the great value comes from the research and the commitment of people that really dedicate 100% of the time in finding how to implement the solutions. So in future, I see then two big branches. One are the big techs like Google, like Facebook, because they have the capacity to build, they have the capacity to invest and create tangible values. But on the other side, all the I would say experts, champions that are involved in this big revolution can create an important impact, important aspect. So if we think about OpenAI at the beginning was a sort of small companies. It was lucky. They were lucky because they were in the US and were able to make venturing and have access to a lot of companies that can pay, can fund the ideas and the support behind. But today we have a huge enhancement, huge improvements that are coming, for example, from Chinese companies or from Indian companies. And in the context of AI, so they are really changing a lot the possibilities that we can have using this technology in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I like how you, I like it and also don't like it, how it's very clear that the US has a massive foothold in this space. I think it's 89% of all, since 2020, since 2017, 89% of all Gen AI investment has been in the US, 6% Europe, 5% rest of the world, which is predominantly made up of Israel, right? And I think that's a huge testament as to why the US are leading this arms race. And not only that, they're also leading the power supply to the arms race on top, which has gone unchallenged ever since.
Yeah, indeed. And yeah, as I said, the opportunity to access capitals, to access venture capitalists is really important. Also because we see in a context of generative AI that we need to have a huge investment in order to train properly the models that can generate output as we do with ChatGPT, for example. But I think we are really at the early stage of this revolution. So at the moment, we need a lot of energy, a lot of CPUs to create these big virtual brains. I don't think that in future will be like that. So today we have a massive effort that requires a lot of capital, a lot of funds in order to generate these models. So I'm quite optimistic that in future we will have a more, I would say, more dynamic approach in creating these models, and this will enable then smaller companies to take a slice of the big cake.
What are you thinking? Like distributed computer systems that can be rented out, stored out at cost with access to purely training data, or I mean, obviously
Yeah.
there's no solution yet.
At the moment, no. But you see, there are good approaches in training this model with training, I would say, chunks of these big models with experts of matters. So it means that instead of creating generic models that can be used in all contexts, so we actually create the smallest part of these models, and we empower these leader brains to become very expert on specific areas with specific knowledge. On that side, then we might imagine that in future generative AI can count on several little ChatGPTs that can support activities or can automate activities using the training, the very specific training on those topics.
Yeah, I think as well as power consumption is reduced, costs will come down because there's actually going to be so much available brain capacity, as you mentioned. We could almost just be ended up with a level of surplus requirements where it becomes extremely cheap.
Yeah, I mean, we have this learning from the past. When the technology comes out, it is always costing, and it costs always a lot. But when it starts to become very popular, then we see the cost going down. And I think it will happen the same with these big models.
Yeah, and I guess as we're looking at it now, right? There's a lot of companies investing into AI, generative AI. We've already said there's winners and losers, and then there's some companies who are even not building AI but buying AI and still becoming losers in some capacity. I think like the overall is that like it's about 18 or between 18 and 22% of companies can see a return on investment on an investment into generative AI, which is a substantial amount that goes untracked and unknown. But companies still want to make a move into it. They see it as moving into the future, adding not only reduce cost but capability to your offering. How should companies be looking to align themselves or even realign themselves for the AI revolution?
Yeah, I mean, good question. So we saw that there is a huge demand of AI in the companies, not only generative AI, but also traditional machine learning, deep learning, and so on. I think it's difficult for companies to approach AI at the beginning at the best. And the reason is, first, AI requires a good understanding of what is the technology and what is the impact the technology can have in their context. And the second, it's not easy to have all the resources required to create and build solutions inside a company, because it's difficult to do AI. It's not a very simple development. It requires not only knowledge, but also experience. And I saw successfully that big companies that are investing a lot in resourcing, in knowledge transfer, can succeed in this context. So what companies should do, in my view, is indeed to find the champions of AI. And I'm very happy that I joined EPAM on that. And relies on the expertise that the company built around this topic to implement solutions that can satisfy the needs of the company. So embedding AI, just hiring few data scientists sometimes could not be enough. And for several reasons. The first reason is data science is per se a unique science. It means that it's difficult to understand, it's difficult to see if the results can generate value. This is because statistics, for example, does not have a causality always behind the numbers. So if there is a regression between an event and the data, it doesn't mean that there is a causality. And I saw a lot of projects failing because there were misinterpretation of the results. On the other side, data science requires not only knowledge around AI, but knowledge about software engineering, about cloud computing, about data management and data governance, at least. At least because there are also other knowledge that should be required, for example, to develop user interfaces, to develop the solution that could read the data and provide a dashboard for the company. All of these are side competencies that need to be inside the project of data science, of artificial intelligence. So, yeah.
I was going to say I have my take on this topic as well, and I'd love your feedback on it. So I mean, I'm in staffing 12 years. I'm in AI staffing for 7 years. I've been in it since recommender search systems were considered the cutting edge, right through to today, where it's LLMs. And where I feel there's a bit of a disconnect with a lot of companies is they hire someone, maybe a mid to senior level engineer, like this is a deep learning expert. They're going to introduce our AI strategy. And I think where the disconnect is, they are not strategy. They are your crack coders who can introduce products. They'll never fully understand what does the user get out of it? How does the user interact with it? Oh, actually, I'm going to build this because it's cool and it's more fun for me, not because it adds value to a customer. And I think companies are now saying, right, we need to have AI, Gen AI in our portfolio to increase our value, but it's not the right type of Gen AI. And therefore it's not the right type
Yeah.
of value. And they're completely missing the bigger investment of getting someone on strategy, getting someone who understands business, Gen AI, and customers, and then can sort of develop that and bring it in.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. And let's distinguish two types of AI solutions. So the first type can improve existing processes, activities inside a company, and they can generate value. But there is also another type of AI that can create something new. So not only replacing, so I mean, not only I would say complementing and empowering activities inside a company, but they generate a total new way to do something. Only experts can propose these. And I have always seen an analogy on this. So if you remember when Ford created a car, the first car, so people say, so why did you invent this engine with four wheels? So how did you come out with this solution? Did you ask people that normally take horses, what do you need to go faster? And he said, no, I was not able to do that. Because if you ask a person that is riding horses, what do you need to do better your work? He would reply with, I need faster horses. Instead, the car is completely something new. And so sometimes in companies, you do not have this new vision. So it's difficult for a company, especially big companies, to have this new vision. That is why innovation can come from outside and can provide a strong impact on the activities of the company, especially this new generative AI, because it has the capacity to transform the work of the people, but also the life of the people. And we are facing one of the biggest revolution in our society, and that just started. We are really at the early stage. There are a lot of reports that are talking about transformation of the jobs, transformation of activities inside the companies. And we are already seeing this big change in companies like Google, Meta. So they are already adapting themselves to the new reality. But these waves will go very fast also inside the companies. And there are analyses made by McKinsey and other big players that says that actually most of the jobs will change. So we are talking about 40-50% of their jobs will be completely transformed by the last wave of AI, generative AI. And the big change actually is today it is virtual brains that are behind generative AI can understand human language. And before this was not the case. So a few years ago, these systems were not able to understand the language of the people and also the context after few images or after few inputs given to this model. And this radically changed the possibilities for companies. So we have a specific concept of working. We have our experience, so we go to work, we have our supervisors, we have our peers, and we have our software, and we use in that way. So this kind of concept could change. And how this change is still something that we don't know.
So perfect segue into where I wanted to jump in, right? Is our agents taking real humans' jobs? Lots of things to digest with it. It's all in the news, right? And I mean I think the largest case that I can think of off the top of my mind is the one where Klarna said they completely decided to replace all customer service agents with an LLM, and I think off the back of it, Zendesk, who do customer service software, their share price dropped 16%, I believe, like pretty much immediately. I think that was like an off the cuff comment by like the CFO from Klarna. But again,
Yeah.
we said calculator and human, AI and human. I do think it's going to progress to a level, and even to the level of like a software engineer. You mentioned there is going to be like you have your line manager, and then like 5 people report to a line manager. Could change that each person is responsible for 5 AI agents, right? And that's your job now is these 5 people sitting in this little box, and you have to make sure that whatever they do is trustworthy, is real, complies with business ethics, business mission, and all these things. Right? Again, how far away are we from that? Who knows? Are we ever going to head that way? But it's going to be completely different. So I guess, yeah, how do you see this change of AI agents, people? What do you see the actual impact of it having?
Yeah, I mean, so you're right. So we reached the concept of having agents replacing some activities or part of the job of the people. We found that actually many positions can be already shrink a lot. If you think about a CEO, expert, content writer, all of these that are in the context of digital marketing are already under threat. On the other side, we have 40% of GitHub code that is written by artificial intelligence. So what is happening is in this context, this kind of artificial intelligence is already grabbing activities, is already destroying these jobs. And it means that at function level, there might be some positions canceled. And it already happened. So I made a presentation. A person from a big company came to me and I said, "Oh, you describe a slide on digital marketing, and actually, this is what happened to me. I've been replaced by AI." And I think this will happen. And we already saw this, for example, for freelancers. Is destroying the market of freelancers. And Financial Times calculated that about 30% of the market has been already destroyed by ChatGPT. So we have a reduction of salaries and also number of contracts given to freelancers because of ChatGPT. And that is only the beginning. What I believe is we need to face a huge transition of humans from what we have today into a future where we have these agents, these virtual brains that have much more knowledge than us and can work in specific activities better than us. And it never happened in human history that we had to face with entities that are better than us. But that is the case.
Are they better than us? They might be faster.
Then it be faster. And the problem is how fast is this? Because we are adaptable. We are resilient. But the problem with this revolution is that it is so simple that it can go faster and can devastate what we already have without giving us the opportunity to create support for this transition. And what I'm doing in these months is to participate to conferences and invite people, especially working in the human resource, to start working around this transition, because it will be very, very fast. And the people could not even realize. So I was reading that about 80% of the jobs of women could be affected in the Western culture, because women are very close to office management. McKinsey predicted that about 90% of office management activities will be automated in the forthcoming years. And then, since from a social point of view in the Western culture, women are more exposed to this kind of threat, they calculated that about 80% of these jobs could be automated. Another aspect that we have to consider is in the digital disruption, normally we have replacement of low-level works, activities that are do not require a lot of knowledge, preparation, etc. That is what happened in the past. But with this new revolution of generative AI, what is happening is the more knowledgeable workers are the most exposed to this change. So it means then that knowledge and experience are not anymore competitive advantage for work. And then so we have a lot of open questions. How do we hire people? How do we train? How do we form our kids with the advent of these entities that are much, much better than us?
Well, I think it's we're coming through, if we're talking graphs and pyramids, right? Humans outweighed the power of AI pretty much forever, right? Until maybe 18 months ago, since we've seen ChatGPT drop jaws in January 2023. And now we're looking at it that it's AI is more powerful than humans. Again, I say powerful purely on the speed versus quality aspect. There's still a lot of work to be done there.
Mm-hmm.
But to work on the quality aspect is where humans become needed all over again. I think we're going to have to move, like if we talk about getting the most from agents, getting the most from AI, we have to introduce something like a driving license for someone who is part of creating AI. I mean, we're going to have to comply with all types of EU regulation, all types of data governance, which you've already mentioned. Is the data and is the people training that, do they comply with these regulations? Do they know and understand data governance? So it's going to become I would expect, a hard entry barrier. But when you become a subject matter expert, this is how it is. And then AI still and will have to rely on us because that is what we do.
Yeah, indeed. And to go back to my initial comment on the how we work today with functions where we have managers and many people working behind the manager. So it might happen that there will be less people and people that will have a role of controller of these agents. So for sure, they need to have humans in the middle. But the problem that I see is how many humans do you need to do that? So we need to analyze not only the threats. So we were discussing now about what agents can do. Maybe in future, agents will not exist anymore, and AI will speak with AI. So without humans in the middle. So
AI
the idea
just
of
even
having,
speaks to AI.
yeah, exactly. So they will interact each other, and so they will not even have us. We just have to analyze the output and see, yes, I accept it or not. It is already happening, it is. But I think we need also to focus on the opportunities for workers, opportunities for the society. And before we have, so today we have these situations where we have big companies with a lot of capacity to generate value. So they can generate big solutions, big products, because they have all the knowledge, they have all the resources, etc. On the other side, if you are small, it's very difficult to compete with big companies. Instead, with the generative AI, workers have the opportunity to become superheroes, to become really entrepreneurs. They can challenge the current status quo. So, for example, if I'm an expert in, I don't know, selling tickets for events, and I need an application, a website that can support my activity, I can do it online without the prior knowledge of app development, software development, etc. It means that I can have hundreds of these agents working for me. If I need to contact hundreds of companies to propose my products, I can hire these agents and do the work that big companies already are doing with people. And it is working. I experienced this in the past, and I was able indeed to generate digital assets that I was not able to do it before. And on the other side, you can create virtual teams that are able to generate the output that you want. That is a huge opportunity. So we have a lot of Superman and Wonder Woman that can use their power to generate what they cannot generate today.
Yeah, I think I mean I've seen a lot of apps like text builder.ai, like text to mobile app or text to web app. Haven't used them yet, but I mean
Yeah,
stuff like that. It's
yeah,
it's
but
there, it's available. They're the unicorn business from London. Wix, companies like Wix have created some really cool features. But look, we're running out of time here, Massimo. So I guess I wanna leave with a bit of an open question, right? And what I want to do is if anyone was to meet you in a lift and they were to ask you the question, what advice would you give me now for the AI revolution? What would you say?
steer the revolution, be the revolution. This is what I would say.
Excellent. Really appreciate it. That will do us for today's episode. Everyone, thanks for listening.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you. Bye.
That concludes another enlightening episode of the Leadership Labs podcast. If you found today's episode thought-provoking and informative, be sure to subscribe to the Leadership Labs on your preferred podcast platform or on YouTube. Thank you once again for joining us on this journey through the Leadership Labs. Until next time.